The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
Welcome to This Week in Pro Wrestling History. My name is Noella Grasso, and I am here with Big Vito. Yay for him!
How's it going, guys? How's it going? Big Vito brand coming to you live, baby, live.
Let me move this little thing here. Sorry, guys. I got a little icon you don't need. There we go. Perfect. You're taped.
Go ahead.
Okay, guys. We're taped here for the Realm Network, the Russo brand, and we thank you for joining us and all the wonderful support that we've had for our programming. If you want to catch the Big Vito brand, you can catch that on twitch.tv/the Big Vito brand. Vito, do you have any banter before we get to our topic for today?
No, just a lot going on in wrestling this week. A couple of bum things, but, we'll get through it.
We'll always get through it if we stick together, right?
Yeah.
You say anything about my hair?
Yeah, I told you before. It looks nice. How many times do you want me to say it?
I want you to say it on air because you called me ugly a few weeks ago. No?
Yeah, it looks nice.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I did this myself. So I don't even know why I'm asking your opinion. You couldn't grow hair if you put Miracle Grow up there and sat in the sun for a while.
Hold on a second. I can grow hair.
Can you?
Yeah.
We'll wait.
You challenged me to grow a beard and a mustache, and I did.
We'll wait. Do you guys think Vito should grow a beard? I mean, hair on his head as opposed to just the beard. If you think Vito should, tweet us at the Big Vito brand at Reality Tea Spiller or jump on the chat with us on Twitch. Tell us if you think Vito should grow hair. When's the last time you had hair? This is This Week in Wrestling History. Was it this week in like 1982 or like?
Yep.
Really? 1982 is the last time you had hair.
What was I doing in 1982? Yeah, I was pimping some hoes.
What was your go-to hairstyle?
Travolta pushback style.
Oh, so you had like the pompadour pushback kind of
You've
deal?
seen the pictures, don't you remember?
Well, no, you told me you had other hair. You told me you had like bleach blonde mohawk, and didn't you have a perm?
I was later on in my adult life.
You had a perm? Vito had a perm.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to see Vito get another perm, tweet us. I would like to see you with the perm. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is this area right here in between us is going to have different pictures of you with different hairstyles while we're discussing it right here. There'll be some rotating styles. So if you guys think Vito should grow some hair, let us know.
All right, let's get on with the show.
Let's get on with the show. This week, we are going to talk about May 22nd, 2000, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Vince Russo strips Ric Flair of the WCW title as he passed out previous Nitro in the ring. In the show's main event, Jeff Jarrett defeated Kevin Nash to win the vacated world title with some help from the New Blood. This is the fourth WCW title change that month, so we're going to talk about this event, which Vito was there for, and unusual title changes, and some of which you've actually been a part of. So let's get started with this title change. Now, Vince Russo was the booker at this time.
Yes.
Okay. And you were backstage. They took the belt off of Ric Flair. They had tossed belts around like crazy. In fact, later, like around that same time, Daphne won like the hardcore title or something, like, or a cruiserweight title or something in that same episode. So what was the feel backstage for these abrupt and constant title changes?
Nobody was happy, people. Nobody was happy. You can't really put a finger on the pulse of it, but Nobody was happy, maybe except a few of us.
Maybe Jeff Jarrett was happy he won a belt.
Yeah, but I just think the overall thing is the confusion, the changing of things, the getting away from normal stuff. That's what probably did it.
So you're backstage. The vibe is nobody's happy. So why was the title tossed around that much in like later years of WCW? That World Heavyweight title, they stripped everybody of the titles and started all over again with a reboot. And why was this done? Was it a problem with they had constant different rotating bookers?
I just think that they were trying to establish themselves in a different direction. They figured strip everything down, start all over again, and reboot.
Now, we're going to discuss something later on in the show that I was going to bring up, but I'll bring it up later about reboots and titles and things like that. So this isn't the first time that there was some kind of weird, strange title change by far in wrestling. This has always happened. Titles have been put on people, and Pat Patterson's whole Rio de Janeiro Intercontinental belt and things like that. So you have been a part of different title changes and things that are strange, but the one that comes to mind was when Eric Bischoff won the hardcore title, and you helped him win the hardcore title from Terry Funk, and he gave you and Johnny the Bull the title.
Right.
So how did that come about?
Well, it was me and Johnny and Vince, and we were the henchmen, and Terry Funk had not been defeated by any man. He was on a streak, one-on-one, and they decided to take the belt off Terry Funk. They felt the best ways to lynch him. And then Bischoff just wanted to prove a point. So they called me and Johnny in, and then they gave us the belt, and then I took possession of the belt, and the rest is history.
The thing that I think is kind of cool, though, is that you got to do a one-on-one with Terry Funk and you beat him. So it proved that you literally were the champion without a screw job, and that kind of solidified you. Why did they do that as opposed to they didn't do that a whole lot?
They just had a different mindset. And I tell you, with Bischoff and Russo and Flair and all the heads in there and everybody having creative control, it was just a different environment, a different time, and just a lot of things going on. And if they would have just let one guy run the ship, do everything could have been good.
So there's a lot of hands in the pot and things, but you ended up being able to be solidified as the champion, and I thought you did very good as the hardcore champion. And that match with Terry Funk is one of my favorite matches you've ever had.
A lot of people liked that match, and that solidified me, and that was a statement to the rest of wrestling that Big Vito LaGrasso had arrived as a big-time player, a main eventer, and when the man who is an icon in the business not only hands you the belt but shakes your hand in the middle of the ring, that's when you know that's just a message to the boys. Okay, I'm passing the torch.
I thought it was a pretty good torch passing, babe. What did you feel like when you got to finally defeat Terry Funk? And you did a pretty decent move to the outside that you had a pile driver, you did through a table on the outside. You guys did some good spots in that match.
Well, I mean, in the beginning of the match, if people watch it, just wrestling wasn't really much to say. We just went, we worked together, and we just did our thing. And it was just, I remember like it was yesterday when I was walking up the steps to get to the arena. I said, I got to turn it around, and that's when I started to come alive. Because I've gone toe-to-toe with Funk in the back, and then when I came to the arena, I said, now's the time. And that's when things started to go, toe-to-toe with the best in the business.
And one of the strangest title changes that comes to mind ends up with me being super happy as a very small child. And that's when Ted DiBiase used the double referees, the Hebners, to defeat Hulk Hogan for the heavyweight title.
Right.
They hold the title up, and they're going to have a tournament at WrestleMania 4, which leads to the Macho Man winning his first heavyweight title for the WWE.
Right.
Now, here's a question that I have about this, because sometimes strange title changes happen because of politics. They don't necessarily, and most of the time, that is why strange title. This is politics. Do you think, because neither of us were involved in wrestling at this time, do you think, in your opinion, that the title was changed that way to either elevate Randy Savage to Hulk Hogan level in the 80s, or because Hogan didn't really want to do a clean job to anybody?
I think that you had to get somebody to the status of that level, and then Whether somebody wanted to do a job or didn't want to do a job, that's a whole different ballgame. But in order to be in that sentence, you have to get to that plateau. You have to reach that level. And Savage hadn't been at that level yet.
I kind of had the opinion of maybe they were trying to build it that way because he defeated all these men to become the heavyweight championship, building into that year. In your opinion, WrestleMania 5 was when the Mega Powers broke up and Macho Man was still champion. He was champion for a year, and then he went against Hulk Hogan for the championship. They did the whole angle, who's corner with Elizabeth B, and it was Randy Savage's big heel turn. Do you think that they should have put Savage over Hogan so he could carry it on to the next title holder instead of going backwards and giving it to Hogan? Because ratings were up and attendance was up when Savage was champion. There was no dip down as was expected.
Hogan was bigger than life, and Hogan ran the show.
So political.
Pretty much.
So Randy Savage may be justified for having a chip on his shoulder about Hogan?
Oh, Randy Savage shouldn't have a chip on his shoulder about nothing because he's Randy Savage and he did a lot of other great things. Just because you don't hold the heavyweight title doesn't mean that you haven't accomplished great things in wrestling. The title, you only need the title as a prop to get you over. And once you're over, you don't need the title. Jake the Snake was never a heavyweight champion. Rick Rude was never a heavyweight champion. Mr. Perfect was never a heavyweight champion. They were great wrestlers in their own right.
I agree. Mr. Perfect's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
And Mr. Perfect, when he was doing the Perfect gimmick, and Hogan was champion, there was a collision course going, and they should have collided. Hogan against Perfect, that would have been the best scenario. And for some reason, that got derailed.
Yeah, because they started to go in that direction. If you remember, that's where the original hardcore belt comes from, was they took Hogan's Winged Eagle title and Perfect and Genius smashed the title up. And, and then Mr. Perfect went on to win the Intercontinental Championship, which Bret Hart ended up winning. And that elevated Bret Hart to heavyweight championship level. But that never happened for Mr. Perfect.
Do you want to know one of the best matches I seen when I was in XWF?
What's that?
Probably not even nobody remembers. Hogan against Perfect.
Oh, I didn't even know they had a match at XWF.
And I remember watching that, and I sat there and I was geared up, and I was amping up Kurt and I was amping up Hulk, and watching the match, and Kurt was chopping the living crap out of Hogan in a corner, and it was like a legit championship vibe match. You talk about you're in there with Hulk Hogan, but then you talk about you're in there with Mr. Perfect. That was the perfect. I went up to both of them, and guys, you guys are I hugged them both. It's a great match, guys. I loved it.
A lot of people never watched the XWF stuff because it was never heavily distributed, which is a shame because some people crap on it and whatever else, but there are some good matches in there. I have to look up that one because I don't remember it. People also talk about Hulk Hogan can't wrestle, and I think we've talked about this on the show before. That is the furthest thing from the truth. If people watched Hogan's Japanese stuff, go on YouTube and look Hulk Hogan versus the Great Muta. You will be shocked.
Best wrestling match Hulk Hogan ever had was Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior. He had to lead that match, carry that match. You talk about being a wrestler, that's when he showed that he was a true worker in the business to get the Warrior over.
Sometimes it's not about having, I guess it's different when you've been trained in wrestling and you've worked in wrestling and you look at professional wrestling from a different way. It's not always about, oh, look at the spots. Oh, look at this. If you could see a wrestler, and you know who else was amazing at that too, building people? Bret Hart. Bret Hart could have a good match with anybody. If you just saw that recent documentary about Tom McGee, I don't know if you've caught that yet. Amazing. They had an amazing match. That was a now level match.
Right.
But Tom McGee wasn't that good. It was Bret Hart elevated him. And sometimes that's what wrestlers look at. When you see like Randy Savage at WrestleMania 7 working the Ultimate Warrior, that was a good match. And Hogan and Warrior was a good match. Not just Warrior, but if you look at that caliber and quality of wrestler, if they can have a good match, that makes a good match. If you can carry somebody and tell a story at the same time.
Definitely did, guys. Definitely did.
I kind of trailed off there. We went on like a little, we love Hogan, we love Macho Man. Well, I love Macho Man. You have that. He's afraid of you animosity.
No, you know what, guys? You know what? When it comes to watching wrestling and watching Macho Man, I mean, he's a great technician in the ring. He did everything with precision. He was crisp. He was solid. I mean, when you talk about wrestlers, he was a good wrestler, and Hogan was a good wrestler, and both of them had super popularity and were at the top of their game. And when you're at the top of the game, it's kind of hard to say, okay, who's number one, who's not, who's number two. But you know what, guys? At the end of the day, when you say Hogan, Flair, Macho Man, that's good company.
That is good company. So this is going to lead me into something that I find a little bit interesting. Well, let me talk about one thing before I go into this. When you had that match with Terry Funk at the end, and he shook your hand, and that kind of solidified you as the real champion. Like, okay, this was a strange change, but I beat the actual champion. Here's the handshake, and you go on your way. Can you tell everybody what happened after that? Because I know you probably like to tell that story for those who haven't heard it.
So after that, I go in the back, and the guys are congratulating me and shaking my hand. I thought it was a great, great match. And then we went to the bar that night, and it was me, Johnny the Bull, Bill DeMott, Flair. I mean, everybody was in there that night. Everybody from Hogan, to Macho, Luger, everybody, Mean Gene. So I walk in the bar, and Mean Gene holds his glass up, and he says, "Tonight I want to give a toast to Vito. Tonight you're coming out party." He said, "Congratulations. Beating Terry Funk on Nitro, handshake, the belt in hand." That was a big defining moment in my career.
I don't know if people watching it understand, because now, because of the whole, and this happened way after that fact, the whole Ring of Honor, everybody shake hands kind of deal, that's common now when people have a match and shake hands. In 99 and 2000, that was not a common occurrence. That meant something. We talked about WrestleMania 6 when Hulk Hogan shook shook Ultimate Warrior's hand. That was him giving him his approval and passing a torch, or attempting to pass a torch on to the Ultimate Warrior. Terry Funk didn't have matches and shake people's hand. That didn't happen then. When Terry Funk shook Vito's hand, that was a passing of the torch and an approval, and that's why there was an event at the bar. But I wanted to say that and put that out there so you could, show people sometimes strange title changes are earned. Yours was earned.
Definitely earned, definitely deserved, but it wasn't for me to determine when it was going to happen, when I was going to get my credibility. It was up to the guys I was wrestling, the company, and you know what? When it came to being in the ring, there isn't a guy out there who ever said I slouched, whoever said I was reckless, whoever said I wasn't a technician, didn't have intensity, didn't take care of them. I wrestled everybody, and whatever you asked me to do, I could do, whether it would be a cruiserweight match, a hardcore match, tag team match, world heavyweight championship match, intercontinental tag, whatever you needed, I was always the one to work up and down the card.
Now we got to get into something I wanted to talk about the whole show. Did you watch Raw?
That was terrible.
Let's start so the fans are informed in case they're watching this during another Raw. So this week, as we're filming, Mick Foley debuted, and poor Mick Foley, his face was just like, I can't believe I'm saying this. He debuted a new title for WWE called the 24/7 title, which happens to be the ugliest fucking belt I've ever seen in my life.
Bleep.
I'm in the Realm Network. I'm allowed to curse on here. The ugliest fucking belt I've ever seen in my life. It's basically going to be all strange title changes, which fits right into our theme this week. And it's, again, basically the hardcore title without the name hardcore, without some of the more fun hardcore rules. Literally, like, I could go up and punch Ron Killings in the face tomorrow, and I could become 24/7 champion, technically.
Guys, I said it during the weekend on Getting Color, and I said it all along, that they brought back the TV title, and let that title be defended every week on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. You'd have a great match and something to premiere your show. Start off the 9 o'clock hour, start off the 10 o'clock hour. You can make it relevant, and that would be the more relevant title to look at.
I loved William Regal's title run as the TV champion in WCW. That he was on every week. The best part was there's a 10-minute time limit. You couldn't go over the 10 minutes, so it was great when people literally got screwed right at the 10-minute mark and everyone, they were all pissed. That was fun. That was a good time. Crash Holly having the hardcore title in WWE, that was fun. Crash Holly was a silly guy. He did comedy work. There always had to be a referee. Now people are going, well, the women can win it too, which came out last night. Naomi tweeted, the women can win it too. Do you have to have a referee with you? Well, not necessarily. So then who knows there's a pinfall if you don't tape it? And they're looking for the title now on Twitter. So now you got to look on Twitter to see if somebody's going to find the title and get a pin. Anybody can count the pin. You could count the pin.
So, guys,
makes no sense.
Basically what they're saying is it's up for grab for men and women, but how do you justify having to punch a woman in the face if you're a man to get the title?
Exactly. And who counts the pinfall? If
Not
it's
that
anyone.
women can't take a punch. Please, let's forget.
Oh,
but
yeah, tough women out there.
men don't hit women.
And women don't hit men. So how do you transfer a belt back and forth between men and women if you don't hit them? It doesn't make any sense. And like I said, Vito, you and I are out, and I want to win. You have the 24/7 title, and I want to win the 24/7 title. Does anybody count the pinfall? Is the belt escorted around by a referee that counts the pinfall? Like, what's the deal? Like, they're saying, oh, you can win it anywhere, anytime, any place. And these guys are on Twitter and on Facebook now, as of today, trying to find the title and beat each other in parking lots and stuff. Who counts the pinfall? Is it official if anybody counts the pinfall? If I pin you at Dunkin' Donuts and the person behind the cashier goes, 1, 2, 3, then do I win the title? Is the cashier an official? I have no idea. You got to tell me how this works. This is like the wild card rule. Like, 5 people can go over to SmackDown from Raw, but no more than 5. And then they add a 6th person to the match. Like, I don't get any of this. Nothing. Wrestling makes no sense anymore. I have no idea what's going on. And this is not because I have had issues. This is because nobody knows what's going on.
You're right.
Yeah, no, I feel like I might be right. I don't know. I live with somebody that knows a lot about wrestling. So it's possible that I learned it by watching him. I don't know. Vito, I believe we're at everyone's favorite part of the show. And I asked you previously if you had a story to tell. And you said, I'll come up with one. And I know you have many. So Vito, hookups by and with Big Vito. Who are you sleeping
Memphis,
with?
Tennessee. Hanging out in strip clubs. Jamie and Wolfie, PG-13. Brian Christopher. We have a phone call.
Is it
We're
Brian
going to go to
Christopher?
commercial break.
We'll be right back. Hey guys, if you're looking for Big Vito merch, souvenirs, cups, t-shirts, aprons, everything, we've got it all on the BigVitoBrand.com. That's BigVitoBrand.com. We do have tons of, wait a minute, that's not our merch. That's the Mrs. Dad. Get out of here. We've got tons of t-shirts, hats, and more. The BigVitoBrand.com under the merch section. Again, that's the BigVitoBrand.com. And welcome back. Was it Nunzio?
No, not this time. Anyway,
Okay,
Memphis, Tennessee. Billy Joe Travis, PG-13, Brian Christopher, Del Rios, Jeff Gaylord, Big Vito LaGrasso, known as Skull Bomb Crush.
The German.
All hooking up with strippers.
Ew.
And I happened to pick and hook up with a Marilyn Monroe lookalike. The real deal.
The
No,
real deal?
no BS.
I didn't know this.
Marilyn Monroe lookalike.
Story.
Well, she everybody went their own way. We all knew to meet at one place eventually. So I happened to go to this to Maryland's
So
hotel.
you don't even know her real name.
Maryland.
I know. So now you've got you have like a WCW, you have like a Ace of Spades, you have like a Queen of something, you have some ballyhoo of the Philippines. Now you're Maryland.
So now she did. So we get in the room, and she did all the good stuff. Oh, Mr. Skull, Mr. President, blah blah blah.
She called you Mr. Skull.
Mr. Skull. So things happen. I made dirty love to Marilyn Monroe. Joe DiMaggio called me and said, "Hey, what the fuck?"
You made dirty love to Marilyn Monroe.
Gotta do it sometime.
Did you make her call you Mr. President at some point?
No, she just did it. Like it was like she thought like she was just into a gimmick.
Did you tell her some like it hot?
No, I just sat there and enjoyed it. Thank you.
Did the belt watch? Remember you said the title belt sometimes watched you? Do you have a belt that watched you?
Not in Memphis.
No, no belt in Memphis.
No. So that is my Memphis story. And it was a good one. Lasted for about a couple months, so everything was good. We got to wrap it up because we got somebody coming.
Yeah, we have the air conditioning guy coming. So, guys, twitch.tv/the Big O Vito brand is where you can catch us 9 p.m. I'm a mess today. 9 p.m. You can catch Getting Color on Sundays, 9 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. Also, you can go check out thebigvitobrand.com that has all of our links and our merchandise. And we really thank you guys for joining us here on the Realm Network. And we love you. Next week.
Peace.
Next week's episode, June 2nd, 2006, SmackDown. Big Vito appears for the first time wearing a dress. We are going to talk about Vito's character change in a dress. It started a 4-month winning streak and a whole new adventure in kayfabe. Next week on This Week in Pro Wrestling History. And that's what we're doing next week, so we'll see you then on This Week in Pro Wrestling History. Bye, guys!